Hello, good morning everyone, my dear students. Once again, we are now here uh, for our discussion. Today, I will discuss the history of criminal investigation. But before I will discuss that, let us go back. Let us go back to what uh, past discussion you have regarding your introduction of criminology, particularly the topic on crimes and the classification of crimes, including the criminals, because criminal investigation is dealing with identification and location or allocating of criminals. So at least we are very familiar about what are the classification of crimes and what is the criminal itself, no? Okay, so please follow me on this discussion, and then please be informed also that next week we'll be having our uh, prelim exam. Okay, so crime, no? In the legal points or a legal definition of crime, it is an act or omission in violation of criminal law, and it refers to it's either offense, felony, or delinquency. Okay? So, an act or omission, but pasabot na niya class nga kanang aksyon, no, krimen nga imo gihimo, aktual, o kaning omission, mga krimen o nga wala nimo siya gihimo pero nakasupak sa balaod. Muna but pasabot na niya. Just like for example, abandoning of person uh, in an imminent danger, no? So that is a violation. Kung imong biyaan ang usa ka tawo, pasagdan nimo nga naa na siya sa ungaw sa kamatayon, so kuan kana, pwede ka na nga mapriso pod, no? At nana na siya sa sample anang omission. So when we say offense, no, an act or omission in violation of special laws, we called it offense, no? Kung ang iyahang kaning gitawag og paglapas, nakalapas siya diha sa special laws, so ang tawag ana niya offense. Kanang mga special laws mo na siya mga balaod nga wala diha sulod sa ato ang revised penal code. Just like for example, ana kanang balaod sa ano firearms, no, law of firearms. So wala man na diha sa tuang revised penal code. So ang tawagan na niya usa na sa tawagan na special laws. So it refers to felony, no, if it is in violation of our revised penal code or di Kodigo Penal, no, ang balaod, no, ang kuan sa atong Pilipinas kanig yung atong revised penal code, no, may sa mga about criminality na diya tanan. So delinquency also kung nag-refer siya sa mga bata. Oh, nana siya. So at least familiar ta na offense, felony, and delinquency. So an act or omission in violation of criminal law in its legal point. Now, in crime can be committed, it's either dolo or deceit. No, when we say dolo, deceit, meaning intentional felonies. Pag mingon tag intentional, tinuyo gina siya. Imo gong gituyo paghimo. And then another is culpa or fault, no? Culpable felonies. Dili siya tinuyo. Tungod siguro sa neglect, no? O negligence, negligence, no, kana just like for example kaning nabanggaan, no, ang driver ana niya wa niya tuyo nga banggaon ng tao nga niresulta sa kamatayon or homicide. So dili siya tinuyo pero liable gyapon ang tao ana ang nakabangga. So ina na siya. So pwede siya makomit ang crime by intentional or by culpable or dolo or culpa or fault. And then stages, no? Stages of committing a crime. We have attempted, frustrated, and consummated. When we say consummated, when all the elements necessary are present. So tanan no, nahimo ang imong tanan nga plano nahitabo gyud og niresulta gyud sa imong gusto nga mo resulta nga panghitabo. So consummated ang tawag ana niya. Pag frustrated, when the offender performs all the acts but does not produce the felony, gihimo niyang tanan pero wala mo resulta sa iyaha yung gusto nga mahitabo. Just like for example, gipusil niya ang tao, intentional gyud gituyo niya pagpusil, pero kay nadala sa ospital, no? Bisan pag naigo ang ulo, pero pag abot sa ospital kay nakuha ang bala sa ulo, naulian, so wala namatay ang tao. So ang tawagan na niya, frustrated crime. Pag attempted, when the offender commences, no? Nagsugod siya, no? The commission of a felony directly by overt acts. So iya nagisugdan paghimo. Ana siya. So pagsugod niya himo, pero wala niya nadayon ang tanan. So nag-start lang siya ba, nag-commences, nag-start lang. So tawagan na niya attempted crime. So ang crime pod pwede pod siya nga simple crime, pwede pod siya nga complex. When we say simple crime, ambot pasabot na niya class nga one act of execution constitute one felony. So bot pasabot na niya nga usa ka aksyon sa usa ka kriminal niresulta siya og usa pod ka krimen. Just like for example, gipusil niya ang tao. So pagpusil niya, ang katong tao nga iyang gipusil nga isa ka buok, mao gyud naigog mo puy namatay. So one act, one crime. Pag mingon tag complex crime, one execution of one execution, one act, no? But resulted to a multiple crime. Just like for example, nag-itsa ka granada, usa ra ka aksyon. Pero pagbuto sa granada, daghan ang naigo. Naay na physical injury, naay nangamatay, ingon na siya, naay homicide, no? Homicide, pila ka tawo, buta na to 20 ka buok. So, isa ra ka execution pero resulta siya og multiple homicide or kanabang kuan, no? Constitute of multiple felonies. Okay. So, at least familiar mo ana. Now, let's go back to the triads of crime or triads of crimes or the elements of crimes. Parehara na sa class, no? Desire, no? Capability and opportunity. So, ang desire, sa uban mo, ni gitawag siya motive, no? Desire. Kung ay desire ko sa katao, na sa capability, no? Doon na sa abilidad nga muhimo o kapasidad nga muhimo ana, unya opportunity dunay chance, no, or possibility nga iyang mahimo. So that's the time nga create or ma-commit ang crime. So una na desire, unsay motibo, no? Desire niya, yang gusto. Unya naapod siya kakayahan nga muhimo. Unya naapoy chance, oportunidad. So makahimo gyud o mahimo gyud ang krimen. So ato na timan-an gyapon, no, triad of crime or the elements of crime. So under criminological classification of crime, we have here, no, as a result of a crime, we have acquisitive crime. When we see acquisitive crime, offender acquires something as a result or consequences of a crime. So naay nakuha niya, no, gikan sa iyang paghimo sa crime na siya na-acquire. Just like pagpangawat, no, theft. So, nakaginansya siya na. Extinctive crime, end result is destructive, like homicide, no? Extinctive, mawala yun. Paghimo na sa crime, ang iyang gimo, no, nga nawala yun mismo. For example, pagpatay, no, nawala kinabuhis tao, no, wala na nag-exist tong tao nga iyang gipatay. So na-instinct na siya, na-extinct na siya. So nawala. Then period of time committed, we have seasonal crime, no, committed only during the period of time, like tax evasion, no, gisibatan nimo imong pagbayad sa tax. Kay ting bayad na, ya wala nimo gibayaran. Wala ka ni bayad, nisibat ka. So, seasonal. Situational crime committed only when given situation like robbery. Katong gingon ka ganina na opportunity, no? So, when given situation, nakahigayon siya. So, situational, no? Nakapabor. So, nahimo ang krimen. Situational crime. As to the length of time committed, no? We have instant crime committed in a shortest possible time like snatching, no? Pinakadali gyud kayo, no? Paghimo, ditso-ditso gyud, dali ug paspas. Mao na sa tawagan na instant crime. Mura og instant mommy noodles, no? Dali ra kayo pagluto. Episodic crime committed by series of act in lengthy space of time like kidnapping, no? Episodic crime. Una, just like for example sa kidnapping, una, nag-spot ang kriminal kinsa iyang kidnapon, ngita sa biktima. Ikaduha, yan ang gisundan-sundan. Natultulan niya ang balay. Sunod, nag-abang siya og sakyanan. Hangtod nga, naka-chance, iyan na yung gikidnap ang maong tao. So, una na ang dagan, no, episodic na siya. Tawagan na niya, episodic crime. As to place or location of commission. So, mga lugar, no, we have aesthetic crime committed only one place like trespassing. Sa usa lang ka lugar, no? Nakahitabo ang krimen, diya lang yun sa usa ka lugar. Just like trespassing, no, nisulod ka sa balay o nisulod ka sa koral. Diha ra gyud mismo. O natabo ang krimen, sulod ra anang balaya or ana ra gyud lugara. Continuing crime committed in several places like physical injuries, no, resulting to homicide in an automobile, no. Just like for example, sakyanan, nakabangga, for example, diri gikan sa Initaw, nakabangga siya diha na niresultag physical injuries. Paglahos niya pag-abot to sa libertad, nakabangga po siya na namatay. Pag-abot po siya nakabangga na po siya dito sa Gitagom. So, continuing crime. Sample na siya. At least, masabtan na to pag-ayo kung unsa na nga mga krimen, no? As to the use of mental faculties, sa panguna-una class, no, we have rational crimes committed with intent. Offender is in full possession of his mental faculties. Bot pasabot, ang tao ana, rational crimes, nakasabot gid siya sa iyang gihimo. Kabalo siya og nasayod siya sa iyang gabuhaton. Naa siya sa eksaktong pangununa. Just like sa to, rational being man ta. Kung mahimo tag krimen, so we are rational criminals. So ang crime nga to nahimo, rational crime. Sinimo gyud sa tao nga naay eksaktong pamuot. Irrational crimes committed by one who does not know the nature of quality of his act on account of disease of mind. So, example ana katong na ay mga buang, no. Daot ang utok. So, asa nasayod kung unsay iyang himo. So, irrational na. So, naana pod kay naanata sa atong criminal law, inyo na masugatan dito naa pod na siya mga gitawag og exemption. As to the types of offender, no, klase sa magabuhat og krimen, no, naay gitawag og white collar crimes. White collar crimes committed by person of respectability in the course of their occupation. So muna nangahitabo ang pagpanghimo sa krimen diya sulod mismo sa ilang gitrabahoan. Highly by person of respectability. Just like for example kanato mga politicians, no, nga naglingkod sa gobyerno ng urakot. So respectability, no, kuan man na sila. Pero nanghimo gyud og krimen. Then blue collar crimes committed by ordinary criminals to maintain their livelihood. Pag mga pobre na gani kayo nga mga kuan, mga mga criminals ang gahimo, tawag na niya blue collar crimes. Ang white collars katong naa dito sa taas, no? Mga katungdanan. We have here the upper world and underworld crime. When we see upper world crime o upper world, committed by individuals belonging to the upper class of society. Muni sila katong mga sapian, no? Mga sapian na kay sa tanan pero gahimo gyapon og mga criminal. So upper world. Underworld crime committed of the lower or underprivileged class of society. Ato mga pobre kayo, no? Wala isang kahig isang tuka. So kana sila. Mo na ang mga underworld crime. Crimes by imitation and crime by passion. When we see crime by imitation, committed by merely duplication of what was done by others. Sa ato pa, nag-awat-awat lang siya sa uban. Iyahang gi-imitate ang gihimo sa uban. Sama panalitan, tan-aw tag salida nga kuanda no, na masalida na kita nato nga mao na gihimo, ginana paghimo ang krimen, giawat po nato. So that is crime by imitation. When we see crime by passion, crime committed because of faith of great emotions. So, tungod sa iyang gusto yun, no? Gana. Just like, for example, rape. Nagkinubra ang iyang kauwag, no? Muna nga, nakapang-rape siya. Crime by passion para masatisfy ang iyang needs, no? Ang iyang passion, no? Iyang desire. Service crimes refer to crimes committed through rendition of service to satisfy desire of another. So, bayaran. No? Muhimo siya sa krimen para masatisfy ang desire sa nagsugo sa iya. So, service crime. Tawag ana niya. So, with regards to the criminal, a person who committed a crime and has been convicted by a court of the violation of a criminal law. That is for legal definition of a criminal. Okay? A person who committed a crime and has been convicted by a court of the violation of criminal law. Ato na timanan. Mao na siya. And then a person who violate a social norm or one who did an anti-social act. That is the social definition of crime. Gikan na sa mga sociologists. And then from the psychological definition of crime, a person who violates rules of conduct due to behavioral maladjustment. So, tungod sa behavior sa katao nakahimo siya og krimen. Mao po na ingon sa mga psychologist, no? Legal. So ato timan-an pag ang criminal under pa siya sa pulis, sa kustodiya sa pulis, ang tawag sa iya suspect. Pag under na siya sa na-file ng kaso dito sa prosecutor office, ang tawag sa iya respondent. Pag naabot na sa korte, ang tawag sa iya accused. Pag na-convicted na siya, ang tawag sa iya criminal, no? Inana na criminal. And then pag nakagawas na sa gikan sa prisuhan, ex-convict man ang tawag na to ana, no? Pero sa karon nga bag-o sa ato ang no, kaning correctional institution, no, nga panglantaw ay lang tawag na restorative justice. So dili na tawgon nimo nga ex-con ang criminal. Okay, considered man siya nga patient, pasyente sa sulod masakiton nga gitambalan. So inana ang pamaagi. Okay? So at least you have already the views, no? The overview or the review of the definition of crime and criminals. So we have here also based on etiology, no? Or the causes of or the origin of crime, no? Etiology, we have acute criminals. When we see acute, is one who violates a criminal law because of the impulse or fit passion. They commit passionate crimes. So, kani sila mo to mga kuan na gyud, no? Kanang grabe na gyud, nang hinubra na gyud ang iyahang kuan. Kanibang iyahang impulse sa usa ka tawo, no? Ato lagi gyapon baliko, no? Anang grabe gigi siya kauwagan mo nang makapang-rape gyud siya, no? Kita lang og kuan diha. Putig paa wa na. Wa na dayon. So grabe na gakurog na siya sa kuan. So ang tawag na niya acute criminals. Pag chronic criminal is one who commit crimes acted in consonance of deliberated thinking. So, chronic ang tawagan na niya, no? So, nagkuan sa iya, no, na masakiton og utok. So, yun na, no? Chronic ang tawagan na niya, criminal. Based on behavioral system, in relation sa atong mga psychologists, no, atong giingong gagina, psychological classification of crime, no, we have ordinary criminal, considered the lowest form of criminal in criminal career. Ordinary ang tawagan na sa ila, no, mga kuan lang, no, mga tao lagi nga nasa blue collar, no, mga kuan din, below blue collar crimes, no. Organized criminal is one who associate himself with other criminals to earn a high degree of organization to enable them to commit crime easily without being detected by authorities. They commit organized crimes. So, organized crime, group of mga kuwanasa, no? Mga group of mga criminals nga nagrupo sila para paghimo sa krimen para dili sila dali sapnan. Professional criminal is a person who engage. By the way, ang kaning organized crime, just like anang mga gang, anang mga Sputnik, sige-sige, sa pana diha, no, mga pangalan, no, just like atong kaning gitawag og kuan, no, katong sa Osamis, no, sa tawag anan diha sa Osamis, kuratong baliling. So, minana, no, organized na siya nga mga kriminal. Pag makahimo sila crime, ang tawag sa crime, organized crime. Okay? So, professional criminal is a person who engage in criminal activities with high degree of skill. So, professional gani. So, but pasabot, ang criminal na niya, kuwan gid siya, kanibang swito siya o kahibalo siya sa paghimo ng krimen. Just like, for example, maay siya moawat sa mga pirma, no? Pag forge sa mga signature, yun ana, no? Or, kaniba kahang maayo kay siya mopusil kay member siya sa kaning gitawag og PSA or Philippine Shooting Association. So yun na ba? So skills man na. So professional siya na. So kung mamatay siya, mupatay siya tao, tawagan na niya professional killer. So ito na, no? Then based on activities, we have professional criminals are those who practice crime as profession for living. So gahimo siya sa krimen kay para sa iyahang panginabuhian. So gumikan sa iyang skills. So nana na siya professional criminals. Accidental criminals are those who commit crimes when the situation is conducive to its commission. Just like lagi katong giyong gina sa element of crimes, no, naay kaning gitawag og chance or possibility or opportunity. So himo sa krimen, ngawat siya. Habitual criminal are those who continue to commit crime because of deficiency of intelligence and lack of self-control. So, di niya mapugnan yung kagalingon mo na makahimo siya og krimen. Just like ang mga drugs, no? Drugs user, no? Nga, sige nagbalik-balik, so nahimo na niyang habit. Hantod nga pag mahabit na niya, di na niya mapugnan, mahimo na din siyang addict. Ngunana na siya, no? Okay, so ang tawag po na kung krimen ang gihimo, habitual criminal. We have also based on mental activities, we have active criminal are those who commit crimes due to aggressiveness. Okay? So agresibo kayo. Passive inadequate criminals are those who commit crimes because they are forced to it by reward or promise. Bayaran sila, no? Muna naghimo sila krimen. Socialized delinquents are criminals who are normal in behavior but defective in their socialization process or development. Dili kay sila kasabot. No? Sa unsaon og istorya. Di kay sila kasabot. So, di kay sila kuan og makihalubilo sa laing mga tao mo na makahimo og mga krimen. No? Socialized delinquents. So, we have here also habitual delinquent is a person who in a period of 10 years from the date of his release or last conviction of the crime of serious or less serious physical injuries, robbery, estafa, or falsification is found guilty of any of the said crime or third time offender. So, katulo na siya, nahimong na third time offender na siya, no? Na kuan siya, na convict siya na period of 10 years. So, katulo na siya. It's either nangawat ba siya, nakahimo ba sa physical injuries, nangilad ba ka siya. So inana no, katulo na nahitabo, katulo siya na konbikto ana. So tawag siya habitual delinquent. Recidivist is one who at the time of his trial from one crime shall have been previously convicted by final judgment or another crime embraced in the same title of the revised penal code. So while gi-trial siya, ang previous niya nga kaning na-convicted siya atong previous niya nga kaso nga pareha ra og title sa revised penal code. Just like for example, crimes against person. So to niagi na convicted siya sa murder. Okay, crime against person man na siya. Pagkaduha, gitrial na pud siya, ang iha na pong kaso is homicide. Ang homicide gyapon kay pagpatay man gyapon na pero di lang tinuyo. So, kuwan siya kaning crimes against person ra gyapon siya. So, mapol siya sa gitawag og recidivist. Okay? So, now we will proceed to the historical background or features of criminal investigation. So, please remember this personality because they are the one who are great contributory to the development of criminal investigation. So, in 1720, Jonathan Wild, he was a bakol maker, mabuhatag bakos, then a brothel operator, a master criminal who became London's most effective criminal investigator. So, a master criminal, and then nahimo siyang most effective criminal investigator. He was the most famous tip catcher in 1720s. No, his methods of techniques made popular the logic of employing a tip to catch a tip. So, kuan siya no, yahang kuan ipanghayron tong mga kawatan para pod nga moy mo dako pod sa mga kawatan. He conceived the idea of charging a fee for locating and returning stolen property to its rightful owner. So muna, nailado ana si Jonathan Wild sa England niadtong 1720. So we have also Henry Fielding, no, 1750s in England the same, an Englishman who wrote a novel entitled Tom Jones. No, remember the word Tom Jones, and was appointed as magistrate or sheriff for the areas of Westminster and Middle Age, London. He was the creator of the Bow Street Runners. While he was the magistrate, he formed a group of police officers attached to the Bow Street Court and not in uniform performing criminal investigative function. So siya ang nag-create og police officers, no? And then naghimo pud siya og mga non-uniform non-uniform personnel, no, para mo conduct og criminal investigation or investigative function. So si Henry Fielding. So si Sir John Fielding, no, in 1753, no, 3 years after, no, he's the younger brother of Henry Fielding who took over the control of Bow Street Court. Siya nakasunod anang Bow Street Court in 1753, and his investigators were then called Bow Street Runners and become quite effective because of his personal guidance despite the fact that he was blind. No, buta siya. No, he introduced the practice of developing paid informants. No, bayad siya, printing wanted notices, employing criminals raids, and bearing firearms and handcuffs. So siya ang nag-develop ana, no? Kanang pagbayad, pagkuha og mga informants, no, nga bayaran, then ay katong gitawag og mga poster nga mga pang-print diha, no, sa mga wanted person, and then employing criminal raids, and then bearing firearms, no, magdala og armas og pusas. Okay, so Sir John Fielding. Masig maglibog mo na ni Henry Fielding. So in 1759 in USA, the US Congress created the Office of the General and Revenue Cutter Service. This is the first organized federal law enforcement and investigative effort made by the US government. Tawagan niya General and Revenue Cutter Service. The first organized federal law enforcement. Investigative, ha? So, muna siya. And then, in London, in 1800, Patrick Colquhoun, a prominent London president who proposed the unique idea of creating sizable uniform force to police the city of London in order to remedy the public outcry concerning the alarming increase of criminality during the early 80s hundred, no? His proposal was considered too radical and was dismissed by the royal court. So, wala mo prosper ni iyahang proposal, no, nga maghimo og sizable uniform force. Dako gyud, no, daghan to police the city of London. Kay grabe man aning 1800, daghan kayo krimen nga kahitabo ana sa ilahang lugar anang panahona. So in 1811, France, Eugene Francois Vidocq, no? He was a criminal who turned Paris investigator, no? Nahimo siyang investigator sa Paris, no? He is a former convict who became a notorious tip catcher, so in France. So usa siya ka criminal before, konbiktado siya pero nahimo siyang grabe ka manlalakag sa mga kawatan, no, sa France. He is credited as the founder of the La Sûreté Française, no, National Detective Organization. So naa na diri nag-start pod ang katong gitawag og detective works, no, pinaagi sa iya. Then he made popular the concept of sit a tip to catch a tip. So, mumaor gyapon didto kang kuan, no, nga employing a tip to catch the tip. So, inana ra gyapon, no. He introduced the concept of trade protection society, which is a forerunner of our present day credit card system. So nakahimo po siya ni diha po nagsugod sa ang kaning gitawag og credit card system, no. For a fee, any owner of shop or business establishment could obtain particular concerning the financial solvency of new customers. He created a squad of ex-convicts to aid the Paris police in crime investigation. So puro mga ex-convict ang iyahang katabang, no, naghimo gid sa ex-convict squad para pod mao'y mulakag o mudakop sa mga mutabang sa mga pulis pag investigar sa krimen didto sa lugar sa Paris. So in 1829, London, Sir Robert Peel, he is the founder and chief organizer of the London Metropolitan Police or the Scotland Yard. He reiterated the idea of creating sizable police force in his recommendation. So nga wala man to nadayon, no, kato kang kuan kabidok tumadayon. So si Sir Robert Peel mo yung nagpadayon ana, no, yang gibalik din, which led to the passage of Metropolitan Police Act. So nahimo din mo na si Sir Robert Peel, consider po siya father of the police, o father of police organization, no, or the law enforcement. I think mumansuna siya din. This act had tremendous impact on the history of criminal justice in general and on development of criminal investigation specifically. He introduced the techniques of detecting crime such as detective counseling, no, themselves and secretly photographing and recording conversations. So diha saya nag-start ni Sir Robert Peel ang mga technique sa pagdetect sa crime. So, muna siya sa Sir Robert Peel. So in England, the Scotland Yard employed the first undercover officer, while in USA, first daytime field police department was established in Philadelphia, USA. And then in 1835, Texas Rangers was organized as the first law enforcement agency with statewide investigative authority, no, the forerunner of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Kaning gitawag og Texas Ranger, diha ni nag-originate ang FBI pod, no. And then in 1839, the birth year of photography, no, William Henry Fox Talbot explained a photographic process he had invented to the Royal Society of London. So, kaning photographic na, no, process as an instrument to identify criminals. So si Fox Talbot, anak Talbot. And then, Jacques Bandi Duguerre gives a public demonstration in Paris of his discovery, a photographic process he developed in collaboration with Nicéphore Niepce. Okay, and 1842, Scotland Yard created the first full-time investigative, which is forerunner to the Criminal Investigation Division of Scotland Yard. So, 1842 na sa year. And then, in 1851, in Boston, Massachusetts, USA, multi-suspect ID lineup is employed in the first time. So, nagsugod na ang ganing gitawag og ID lineup no? ID lineup sa una. But karon tawag na siya police lineup. In 1852, U.S. Charles Dickens, through his history entitled Bleak House, he introduced the term detective to the English language. So siya pod ang nag-introduce anang detective, no? Okay. So in USA in 1852, Alan Pinkerton, the America's most famous private investigator and founder of criminal investigation in USA. So remember the word founder of criminal investigation in USA is Alan Pinkerton. He established the practice of handwriting examination in America courts and promoted a plan to centralize criminal identification record. So in 1856, USA Kate Wayne, the first woman, no, detective in the history of criminal investigation, hired by the Pinkerton Agency. So si Kate Wayne, no, first woman nga detective, ah. And then in 1859, USA affiliate courts recognized accepted photograph as administrative uh, admissible evidence when they are relevant and properly verified. So dinhi na gisugod og present, no, sa 1859 ang nga magamit nga ebidensya ang photograph. And then in 1865, US Secret Service, no, was founded to investigate counterfeiting activity in post-Civil War America. And then in 1866, USA Inspector Thomas Brines, a New York chief of detective, introduced the modus operandi file. So remember the word modus operandi. So ang kuan na niya, ang nag-introduce ana niya si Thomas Brines. So in 1866, we have in Liberty, Missouri, USA, Jesse James Gang made the first bank hold up, which marked the beginning of the gang's 15-year-old year hold up and robbery spree. No, 12 bank hold ups and 12 train stagecoach robberies in 11 states. No, Clay County Saving Association was their first victim, and their tick was 60,000 US dollar. So mo ni no si GC James Gang. Grabe lang nga himo ani nga kuan. Hold up, no? Daghan kayo. Then in 1877, England Howard Vincent headed the newly organized Criminal Investigation Department in Scotland Yard. And then Alphonse Bertillon in France, 1882, Prince police clerk who introduced and established the first systematic identification system based on anthropometrical signalment or anthropometry. He is considered as the founder of criminal identification. So remember the word criminal identification, Alphonse Bertillon. In 1884, Chicago, USA, the Chicago Police Department established the first American Criminal Identification Bureau in 1884, Chicago, USA. And then Dr. Arthur Conan Doyle in 1887, he popularized the scientific criminal investigation by creating the fictional detective Sherlock Holmes. Remember the word Sherlock Holmes and his friend Dr. Watson. Holmes was featured in 6 short stories and 4 novels. So, Conan Doyle. And then in 1892, England, Francis Galton, an Englishman who published a study on classifying fingerprints. Okay, while other scientists were studying fingerprints in their biological nature, Galton recognized their uniqueness and potentiality, significance, and criminal identification. So, ang fingerprint, no, gamit ni Francis Galton para sa ah, identify sa mga criminals. Karon sa 1892 in England. 1893 Germany, si Hans Gross, an Englishman who published a handbook for examining magistrate in Munich, no? Germany, and advocated that the use of scientific method in criminal investigation process. So naka-produce siya libro, no? Handbook. And then Aberdeen, Scotland, no? In 1948, a new concept was introduced in the field of criminal investigation. This is known as team policing, no? In team policing, there is no patrol division on criminal investigation per se. In this system, a team of police officers is assigned to patrol and investigate all criminal matters within their area of jurisdiction or district. Team policing require the police officers who respond to a call regarding a criminal case should investigate the case to its conclusion. So, mo ni siya no sa Scotland. Ang team policing nag-start by Aberdeen, Scotland in 1948. 1954 in USA, Dr. Falkirk, best known American criminalist who headed the Department of Criminalistics as the University of California, USA. So, nanapod ang criminalistics, no? Na known sa Amerika by Dr. Paul Kirk. And then USA Map versus Ohio. Okay, the Supreme Court ruled the illegally obtained evidence is inadmissible in state criminal prosecution. Parehara ni siya sa the fruit of poisonous tree doctrine. So, kung ang imong ebidensya nga nakalap, illegal nga pamaagi nimo nakuha, so under ani kaning Map versus Ohio sa USA nga kaso, dili siya admissible sa korte. Mao pud giawat sa ato sa Pilipinas karon, no? And then in 1965, USC Office of Law Enforcement Assistance, forerunner of the Law Enforcement Assistance Administration or LEA, no, was established to found a coordinate administration research and training in criminal justice. So na mga training. And in 1966, USA Miranda versus Arizona, the US Supreme Court established procedural guidelines for taking criminal confession. So to akong gidiscuss ato niagi, no, about taking confession. So, dani sa Miranda versus Arizona, so, kuha, no? Ang mga ebidensya nga ilang gigamit sa korte versus sa Miranda, wala mo prosper. Kay, iyang confessions, kuhaan man, kaning made without a counsel or wala siya na pahibalo sa nature sa mga krimen niya. Para nung trying to remain silent, may nana, wala siya na pahibalo. Wala po siya abogado. So, wala, invalid. Invalido ang ilang ebidensya nga pasaka batok ni Miranda. So, in the Philippine sittings, we have here in 1712, Carabineros de Seguridad Publico. So, unsa man ni siya, no? Organized for the purpose of carrying out the policies of regulation of the Spanish government. Then the members were armed and considered as the mounted police. And later, they discharged the duties of the part, harbor, and a river police. So mga kuan ni sila, no, kaning gitawag mga police ni sila nga gihimo sa Spanish government nga mo secure, no, mo work out as a police officer diri sa ato sa Pilipinas ana nga time 1712. And then it was followed by Gadrileros, no, in 1836, a body of rural police organized in its town, which was established by the Royal Decree of January 8, 1836. This police force was composed of 5% of the able-bodied inhabitants in each town or province, and each member will serve for at least 3 years. So, katong mga able-bodied ani nga mga panahon, no, sa kaning gitawag og mga town or provinces, so at least 5% ana nila gi-require nga mo appeal mo join aning gadrileros, no, mo serve sila at least 3 years rural police in town, no, each town. The next is in 1852 nandiyan ang Guardia Civil, no. It is an organization created by the Royal Decree issued by the Spanish Crown Government on February 12, 1852. It's relieved the Spanish peninsular troops of their works in policing towns and it consists of body of Filipino policemen organized originally in each of the provincial capital of the central provinces of Luzon under the command of alcalde gobernador. So Guardia Civil na, no. Ato ni tibanan pagayo kay mao ni siya ang mga foundation nganong unsa ang police organization karon sa Pilipinas. And then in November 30, 1980 na birth ang Insular Police Force, no. This one established during the Filipino-American War in 1898, 1901 upon the recommendation of the American Commission to the Secretary of War. So niani man ang mga kuan diri sa kuan, no, Amerika sa Pilipinas para sa pagtabang against sa mga Spanish. So na kuan po diri, no, natukod ang gitawag og Insular Police Force. And then in July 18, 1901, Act number 175, the act establishing the Insular Police Force, which was titled as an act providing for the organization and government of an Insular Constabulary, the organic act creating the Philippine Constabulary or the PC. So mo ni nahitabo, no, na pinaagyan ni balaod nga Act 175. And then in October 3, 1901, no, Act number 255, the law which established the Philippine Constabulary. So nahimo na gyud ang PC, no, nga ang balaod para ma-establish ang Philippine Constabulary. And then under revised Administrative Code of 1917, Section 825, the law stated that the Philippine Constabulary is a national police institution for preserving the peace, keeping the order, and enforcing the law. So at least nanay definition ani nga time, no, sa 1917 nga revised Administrative Code. And then in September 8, 1966, Republic Act 4864, law co-authored by Representative Teodoro Natividad, no, the law otherwise known as the Police Act of 1966. It created the office of the Police Commission, which was later called National Police Commission or the NAPOLCOM. And in its inception, the Police Commission was under the office of the President. It was created as the supervisory agency to oversee the training and professionalization of the local police forces. Through this law, reformation and professionalization of the police service gained official recognition. Kani nga balaod, no, ang RA 4864. And then ang sunod is in August 8, 1975, Presidential Decree 765, no, the law which stipulated that the office of the NAPOLCOM was under the office of the Ministry of the National Defense. Sa una kay atong niagi nga balaod kay dito man under sa President. So karon Ministry of National Defense na, no. It's defined also the relationship between the Integrated National Police or the INP and the Philippine Constabulary. This is in compliance with the provision of Section 12, Article 15 of the 1973 Philippine Constitution. And then in 1935, the Philippine Constitution, Article 3, Section 17, the law provides, okay, that in all criminal prosecutors, the accused shall enjoy the right to be heard by himself and counsel. No, criminal prosecution was, however, interpreted by the court in U.S. versus Bitzman, no, to mean the proceeding at the trial court from arraignment to rendition of judgment. So kinahanglan nga paybalon siya, no, ang akusado nga right to be heard by himself and counsel, no. Pwede siya paminawon siya unya naa siya makakuha siya og abogado. And then in 1973 Philippine Constitution Article 3 Section 20 stated that no person shall be compelled to be a witness against himself. So dili dili na mapugos nga mo witness ta sa against atong kaugalingon, no. Any person under investigation for the commission of an offense shall have the right to remain silent. Muna siya ang giingon. And to counsel. Pwede siya magpakahilom, pwede siya mukuha ang abogado, and to be informed such rights. So kinahanglan nga mahibalo gid siya na iya mga rights. No force, violence, threat, intimidation, nor any means which violate the free will shall be used against him. Any confession obtained in the violation of this section shall be inadmissible as evidence. Katong gitawag ng mga third party, no. Kulatahon siya para tug-an or mo confess siya nga siya ay naghimo sa sala, no, o sa krimen. So dili siya pwede under aning Article 3, Section 20 sa Philippine Constitution. And then the warning of the right to remain silent must be accompanied by the explanation that anything said will be used against the individual in court. This warning is needed in order to make him aware not only for the privilege but also of the consequences of forgetting it. So kinahanglan aside adto nga ipahibalo siya, kinahanglan isulti o ipahibalo pa gid sa iya nga kaning iyahang gipang istorya o iyang gi-confess, kinahanglan warningan siya nga saman pwede gamiton nga ebidensya against sa iya didto sa korte. So kinahanglan ipasabot gyud sa akusado, no, o sa accused or sa person under custodial investigation. And then in 1983, Morales versus Juana Ponce Ireli, no, in April 26, 1983, sa Supreme Court ni, no, the ruling in case make it clear that Miranda warning, as it is generally called, have to be made so that a confession can be admitted. Therefore, while upon police custody for investigation, the accused must be apprised of his nanapod gibalik na pud diri, no, unsa man, no, right to remain silent with explanation that anything that he might say may be used against him in the court of the law. Right to talk to a lawyer, pwede siya makigistorya, relative or a friend, and have a lawyer ready and friend present while he is being questioned. So kung imbestigaran siya, pwede nga naa siya in the presence of his lawyer or abogado, no. Right to the appointment of lawyer if he cannot afford. Kung di pa gid siya maka-afford, tagaan siya o pangitaan sa abogado nga mulaban sa yaha. Na isa gitawag og akusado. Then 1985, People versus Galit, no? The right to a counsel may be waived, but the waiver to be valid must be made with assistance of a counsel. So pwede pod, no, nga i-waive sa kuan kanibang ang sa kaning akusado ang iyahang pag confess, pero kung iya magaling i-waive, kinahanglan gyapon nga in the presence of his counsel, no, assistant na tabang gikan sa iyang abogado. Kay kung wala, gyapon inbalido gyapon ang ebidensya nga sangat dito sa korte. In 1987 Philippine Constitution Article 3 Section 12, okay, any person under investigation for the commission of an offense shall have the right to be informed of his right to remain silent and to have competent and independent counsel, preferably of his own choice. So siya gi magpili, no. If the person cannot afford the service of the counsel, so di siya kabayad, he must be provided with one. So tagaan siya sa gobyerno og kuan, no, police, pakitaan siya abogado, no. Mo nang natay PAW, Public Attorney's Office. These rights cannot be waived except in writing and in the presence of counsel. So dili na siya ma-waive kung wala ma-waive siya except in writing and in the presence of his counsel. So inana, no, naagi na sa konstitusyon. Article 16, Section 5, number 4, oh, no member of the armed forces in the active service shall at any time be appointed for designated in any capacity to civilian position in the government, including government-owned or controlled corporation or any other subsidiary. As long as he is active member of the armed forces of the Philippines, dili siya pwede nga ma-appoint siya sa any position sa mga government, civilian position or controlled corporation. And then Article 16, Section 6, that establish and maintain one police force which shall be national in scope and civilian in character, no, to be administered and controlled by the National Police Commission. The authority of the local over the police units in their jurisdiction shall be provided by law. So remember the word, maintain police force, national in scope, and civilian in character. Muna itong mga police, kuha na sila, national in scope na sila. Kung police sila diri sa Cagayan sa Region 10, police po sila dito sa Region 1, Region 9, Region 6. Inana, so pwede po sila modakop dito. Kay national in scope man. Then civilian ilang karakter. Kay police, muna sila ang gitawag og servant of the community. In 1990, Republic Act 6975, the ILG Act, Philippine National Police, PNP together with BEP and BGP organization. Mo ni siya, no, sa 6975 na-create ni ang PNP Bureau of Fire and Protection o Bureau of Jail Management and Penology under ani nga balaod Republic Act 6975. And then 1998 no Republic 8551 PNP Reform and Reorganization Act. So na reform ang kaning gitawag og 6975 after 8 years no into PNP Reform and Reorganization Act under Republic Act 8551. Okay? So class, that's the end of our discussion. I hope you enjoy by watching these videos and you learn a lot. So if any queries, questions, just feel free to give your comment in our FB group. Thank you and may God bless you all.